Now it's time to take a look at some of the craziness at campuses across America. Students at the University of Redlands in California were blocked from holding a, quote, funeral for Halloween because college administrators thought such an event would cause emotional and psychological harm for students. In an email obtained by the college fix, a university employee also said flyers for the event couldn't be distributed because they were not labeled satire. Students did publish an obituary for the holiday, which says, quote, Halloween is survived by other holidays, including Groundhog Day, Valentine's Day, and the 4th of July. Unfortunately, however, the same cannot be said for Thanksgiving, Columbus Day, and Christmas, all of which the flyers said are rapidly falling victim to political correctness, ruthless reign of terror. As has been documented in previous editions of Campus Craziness, Halloween is a regular target at American universities. Just this year, dozens of schools instituted guidelines that discourage students from wearing costumes deemed offensive. Some schools even have 24/7 hotlines for offended students. And students at Grand Valley State University in Michigan were threatened with arrest for handing out copies of the U.S. Constitution. University police officers approached the students and told them they were in violation of the school's solicitation policy. The website Campus Reform, which covers college news, published video of the incident online. Watch.
In order to do that, then you got to be approved with Office of Student Line. There's a state law that indicates for trespass, willfully remaining on the property after being told to leave. Regardless of whether you're a student or not, we'll have to engage in that, in which case we'll have to fill out a form, and if you continue to stay here, then we'll need to arrest you.
The students complied with the officer's request and did not continue to hand out the Constitution. Grand Valley State University told Fox News that the students are welcome to hand out the Constitution, but must get approval from the school and do it in a pre-approved room on campus. Students at Harvard University, meanwhile, want to shut down an on-campus showing of the comic operetta The Mikado. Critics say the 19th century show perpetuates negative Japanese stereotypes. In an attempt to accommodate those concerns, the Harvard production is based on a reworked script and is set in a hotel on the Las Vegas Strip. As written, the show is set in a fictional town in Japan. The Harvard Crimson reports that the group even rewrote entire songs, replacing numbers such as Gentlemen of Japan with Gentlemen of the Strip. Those efforts did not satisfy critics, who say the reworked show fails to critically deal with race. If you have a Campus Craziness story, let us know. Email us and tell us all about it at campuscraziness@foxnews.com. We would appreciate hearing from you. One college that's something of a safe space from these examples of campus craziness is Hillsdale College in Michigan. For decades, Hillsdale has maintained its independence by refusing federal funds. Over time, Hillsdale has continued to use the same curriculum that it has for decades. It remains the only non-military academy in the United States, for example, that requires its students to take a course on the Constitution. To discuss the campus culture that our segments on craziness have illustrated, the president of Hillsdale College, Dr. Larry Arnn, joins us. Good evening, Dr. Arnn. Thank you very much for being with us.
Hey, Brett. Thank you. It's good to talk to you again.
So how did we get to a place in American education where passing out the Constitution on a college campus can get you in trouble with the police?
Well, the bureaucratic age is rules, right? So solicitation policy, when I heard you read that, I wondered if we had one at Hillsdale College, and I don't know, but I'd be astonished if we do. And remember, the kids who do these crazy things, they're mostly doing what they're being taught in class. And what are they taught in class? They're these identity groups, and the white one is the one that's not so good. And so their understanding, their ability to learn is supposed to be conditioned by what identity group they're members of, and they demand recognition for their groups. And that pits the campuses at war with each other. But gracious, I mean, if you're handing out copies of the Constitution, you wouldn't do anything about it unless it becomes a nuisance and people can't get to class, and then you just ask them to stop. Why, you know, and confined to a room? I don't know. We don't live like that here, and I'm proud to say it.
Well, do you think how much responsibility does the Department of Education exercise, or deserve, I should say, for what's going on these campuses now? I understand that because of the federal grant money, which comes in the form of scholarships and direct aid, I guess, to universities and colleges, that the department has a great deal of leverage. You, by virtue of the fact that you don't take any such money, escape that. But how much of an effect do you think that leverage is having?
Well, the rules that go along with taking the student aid, I happen to know because once a lawyer, we have a lawyer in D.C. whose job is to keep the government from giving us any money. And I asked him one time to send me Title IV of the Higher Education Act, and he replied, well, there's no use. You won't be able to read it. And I thought, you know, I'm not a dumb guy, and I almost went to law school. And I even told him my favorite joke, which is I decided to get an education instead. And he said, I can't read it. It's 400 or 500 pages long. We have experts who just read that, right? And so the controls are detailed and growing, and they carry very severe penalties for not obeying, complying with them. And of course, they increasingly have these identity groups who might get their feelings hurt that are to be protected. And the main point to make about this is relations on a college need to be civil and academic. The word college means partnership. It's something a bunch of people do together. They proceed by arguing and evidence and proof. And you've got to have scope for that, or nobody will learn, and people will be at odds with each other all the time. And I think that's the heart of the matter, and I think that's what's being busted up now.
And do you see any sign that there's any kind of resistance movement building against political correctness on campuses across the country?
In some notable examples, sure. I remember reading about the president of Ohio State breaking up one of those very disruptive. And remember, a college has a job. It takes a long time to learn. You get 4 years for an undergraduate degree. You need to spend the time doing that. And if these things disrupt the work of the college, it harms everybody. And I know the president of Ohio State last year, I read a story about it. But there are other examples, too, that are very good. And you know, my job and people's job who manage colleges is to keep the college working in line with the mission of the college and according to civil and academic standards.
Thank you, Dr. Arnn. Nice to talk to you, sir. Thank you very much.